Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, so you can see, as per MLC, who should pay bank charges for allotment money sent to seafarers' family, right? Seafarers do send some allotment and there are
Shipping
some
company.
bank charges. Yeah, no, that's okay. Don't respond here. Go on to the link in the chat and you select any one you like, whether it's shipping company, should, as per MLC, seafarers should pay flat state, and then put your vote out here, and then we'll see what the results are. So once you finish voting, your 17 of you, just go ahead and vote. And when you finish voting, I will show you the results. Okay, all good. So now you can use the link in the chat. There's no email required. I won't know who has voted what because this vote does this particular the app does not capture names or emails. Experience. Carl, you go on board a ship and you're conducting an audit. You see that they have a gymnasium. They have a gym, but it's like some of the equipment out there is broken down, and it's not like functioning as a gym. But gym is not a mandatory requirement under Part A. Now, please tell me what will you do as an auditor?
Well, I would put it down as a recommendation by saying that there is equipment on board and there is a facility for training. So it's obvious that the owner's intention, right, is to have this facility on board. And then I would also recommend that they replace that equipment or complete equipment that is on board the vessel. I don't think I can put it as an observation, but since it's not mandatory. But unless it says in the SMS that I guess that the vessel is going to have this as per SMS, then I would be one thing. But so yes, maybe as a recommendation or an observation, depending on the SMS situation.
Okay, so Carl, the thing is that there is a standard requirement, and what are the standard requirements? If there's an equipment on board, it should be working, unless it is deemed to be labeled and said that this is not functioning or do not use. So suppose I have a barometer on the bridge, it may not be in use, but if it's not labeled like that, it's supposedly a non-conformity. If I have a course recorder which is not working because it's not been repaired and it's not a requirement under SOLAS, doesn't matter. I have a course recorder, it should be working unless the company has labeled it not in use. Now, if you go on board and see a gym and where the equipment is not functioning, so the fact is the company, there is a designated gym, but the gym equipment is not working. So these days, owners don't listen to observations. And in any case, you have complete right to issue a non-conformity in such a case because there is a gym and the gym equipment is not working. So the company is at fault and they are supposed to fix it. So they can either say respond to the non-conformity, say that we have removed the gym and that facility has been converted X, Y, Z and it's not a gym. That's another story. And but you have the right to give a non-conformity because it is the equipment is there, but it's not functioning, and there is a dedicated team.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Yeah, thanks.
Right. So that's regarding the entertainment, So you see, the thing is, everything has been pushed into Part B. Anyway, now in this accommodation part, there are various requirements like what should be the size of the cabin. There should be a porthole in every cabin, open to natural light, right? You can't have a cabin with no porthole or natural light. About toilet facilities, not more than 6 persons using a toilet in a hospital. If you have 15 people or more on a ship, mandatory hospital. So there are various requirements there. There's supposed to be the floor area, all that stuff. So I'm not going into that details because you are not expected to be actually measuring these things and bothered about it. Why? Because the flag state would have already approved and given the vessel a certificate of accommodation. So generally, the accommodation should be complying with the 3.1 structural requirements. So 3.1 relates to each structural requirements of the accommodation also. So you need not worry about the structural requirements because you can ask the vessel, please show me your accommodation certificate from your flag. Suppose the flag is Danish and previous to that, they were a Singapore flag, and he shows you Singapore flag on the, hello, but your flag is Copenhagen, and oh, I don't have it, then it's a non-conformity. So they're supposed to have a accommodation certificate approved by the flag. Okay, so that is something that you can ask, and in 3.1, they also encourage, part B, again part B, seafarers, relatives, and friends and family to visit and permit them to visit the seafarer on board the vessel. That means they should be permitted to visit. Now, that's another story. You might say, oh, they need passes, they need this administrative, blah, 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 all that stuff. Port may not permit. That's another story. But MLC encourages that. And MLC also encourages, they say that permit seafarers to sail with partners. That means, of course, subject to lifeboat capacity, subject to company regulations, etc., etc., all that. So they say permit seafarers to sail with, not with, they don't use the word spouse or husband or wife or anything of that sort. They permit them to sail with partners. Okay, so that's yeah. There's also a requirement in 3.1 on noise levels. That means your noise levels should be within the permissible limits, right? If they exceed that, then you've got to rectify that by taking appropriate action. There is certain noise levels specified in an IMO circular, not in MLC. Noise levels have to be defined as. Then we go to 3.2 in food and catering. They say provide free food and good quality drinking water. Now they use this word good quality. In fact, as we talk, I'm on what you call communication with IMO since 2019 to define this good quality, refer it to some WHO standards so that suppliers, and ports can actually supply water, drinking water, based on that standard, international standard. But at the moment, there's no standard, and I've recently I sent a tweet to International Maritime Organization, and so they responded last week that it's already there in 3.2. So apparently, the person who replied on the tweet did not know that. When I resent it, I said this is good quality. You can't have good for a tangible item like water, which is the most important ingredient for survival and for seafarer health. So I'm waiting for the response that it's been going on for the last 5 years. So anyway, good quality drinking water and nutritious food is the requirement under 3.2, right? And yeah, also says consider religious and cultural practices with regard to food. The food quantity should be in line with the voyage. I mean, you have a voyage of 15 days, but you haven't got enough provisions for the next 15 days. So that will be a non-conformity. Okay. And yeah, sounds good. Yeah. And frequent inspections to be carried out of the master's inspections are there, as a weekly inspections about the foods area, the mess room, and things like that. So and accommodations to be carried out, right? It also talks about, you are familiar that the cook needs to be trained in stock control, food storage, health and safety on food matters. Cook must have adequate training approved by flag state. Okay. And there is a part B interesting requirement in 3.2, part B for seafarers, do not waste food. It's a directive to seafarers, but in part B, I wonder why they put it in part B, they could have kept it in part A, but anyway. Yeah, so that's 3.1 and 3.2. Anybody's got anything to ask under 3.1 and 3.2? Before we actually close today's session, we have done what we're supposed to do and in good time. So anybody's got any questions on ISM, ISPS, MLC, Title 1, Title 2, Title 3, please go ahead.
This is 3.2. Yeah. I have one of the similar situation. The ship, freshwater generator, condition is very good. The water quality checked by shore analysis twice, WHS numbers. They are complying two different codes and a prominent lab. All complying to the business. But If the crew insists they need only mineral water to drink, and if the company denies, will it be a violation?
See, it's $1 million question. There are various things out here. One is you said I've tested it to a certain standard. Now, the thing is, you check out if that particular, because all flags do not have, all flags have not defined drinking water standard. Some flags have, like Norwegian flag has, and Antigua flag has. There's some few flags that define what should be the drinking water standard, right? So if your flag has defined that, check it on their website if it's defined. If it's not defined, then you don't have any benchmark for your particular vessel. So your standard that you're talking about, that you have tested it, should be, what you call, it should relate to some international standard like a WHO standard. That's just exactly what I was telling you. That the problem is that, the what you call, the International Maritime Organization hasn't defined it. So this is a problem with shipping companies, and you are exactly a victim of that, right? The best that you can do is that if you're complying with the flag state, perfect. If you are not, then you can tell the seafarer, sorry, you're complying with the flag state, right? And if you're not complying because there is no flag state requirement, then try and dig out some standard. There is a Norwegian standard. It's a pretty good standard. You can check that out, whether that you can check it out from there, and then you can even tell the seafarer that you're complying with the following standard. Till such time IMO or ILO defines a specific standard, because what's happened is I'm communicating with both IMO and ILO. IMO says it's ILO's job, and ILO is kicking the can. So ILO is not really, what you call excited. IMO believes it's not their responsibility. And I know this tweet that I'm sending, that's eventually going to what you call go from IMO to ILO, that you better define that. If you go, I've sent a hyperlink on that's on my blog. In that there is a paper, uh, the plastic epidemic. Please read that paper. The paper has been written, I think, in 2018 or 19. 18, I think, yeah, it was in 18. Have a look at that. It's been published in multiple journals, including one in London, Hong Kong, and in Singapore. So that will sort of, it won't answer your queries, but it will give you an idea that what is possible. And if any of you are on Twitter, and I don't know how many of you all actually are on Twitter, but if any of you are on Twitter, then you can, if you wish. Let's see. And in that case, you can follow me, because I'm sort of chasing IMO. IMO follows me for the last 2 years. So, but IMO is not happy with me, because I keep telling IMO where they are wrong when they're not doing their stuff. So they are following me only with that intention. But otherwise, I'm still at it, and you can be in touch with me. Just one thing. So they are. That's the response to your query, Swaminathan. Right? Okay. But you do me a small favor. You can, if you wish, also communicate to me. This is my email address. I will be happy to know what's happening. And if there's anything you can on your water part of it, yeah, because I've taken this up. I'm struggling with. The email communication is jointly, yeah, because I was communicating with IMO for 2.5, 3 years. Then they added ILO in that, so that there is a chain of communication for the last almost 4 years with IMO, ILO. So it's been like I did not respond for the last 7, 8 months, because I was just wondering what to do, and then finally I sent a tweet. Now that it's moving a bit, but it's still stopped. But I think now I've got the what you call I've got that little bit of wedge, and I think I'm going to penetrate this one, because the Secretary General also has changed. So I'm going to penetrate that very soon. I have something in mind. to let the Secretary General know that there are lapses and that they have to take action. Either they take action or I'll order. Okay, so you just drop me a mail anytime. Okay. So anyone else on Title 1, Title 2, Title 3? Anything? These are old regulations, scrap 92, ILO 92 of 1949 talks about crew accommodation, 133 talks about crew accommodation also. So these regulations only apply to existing ships, but they are virtually obsolete. So like I said, you are not expected to check accommodation, dimensions and all that stuff. And what I expected out of you, this is only for your information. As long as the ship has a valid accommodation certificate, they are complying with the requirements. No inspector is expected to go with a measuring tape to measure stuff, areas and all that stuff. Because if we start doing that, then out of 100 ships, 90 will not be complying.
This water thing is a very funny thing sometimes, because one ship I remember used to get brownish water.
Yeah.
And so the superintendent told, lend a sample. Now the moment you send a sample, a lab like typical laboratory is to allow the sample to settle, and the top part is to be clear water. So the report is to come with WHO standards. So it's very funny thing. The water coming in your tap everywhere is colored, but the sample is clear.
Yeah, so that of course, then that's a big, huge gray area. There's something wrong somewhere.
Yeah. So finally, for drinking water, we got a RO system installed. That solved the problem for food purposes. We had proper quality water.
Yeah, but how do you test your RO water on the ship?
No, RO water, the sample was basically, we have on board normal, the MLC minimum requirement for testing, that is there. Okay, but this sample also we should land ashore. That matched this thing. We had fitted a mineralizer, everything, but it was meeting all the requirements. It was as good as the bottled water.
Please read that. I've put a link on the website. There are quite a few papers there. All the papers have multiple publishings. I think there are 4 papers at least uploaded on the site there. And one of them is the plastic epidemic. So if you get time, they're not very long, I think 2 pages. Okay guys, so if there are no more queries on ISM, ISPS, MLC, Title 1, Title 2, Title 3, then we can close for the day. These are the amendments coming in force, right? And we'll close for the day, and we hope to see you tomorrow morning. Is that okay, all of you? Randall, are you there?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Singam, right? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay.
So, thank you.
Yeah, Randall, you can take over. Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, participants. Yeah, thank you very much for joining today's training session. Kindly note that tomorrow we'll be starting at 9 a.m. sharp. Please be reminded at the end of tomorrow's training session there will be an online exam. It'll be online exam. So it's 20 MCQ question exam. It's open book, so any notes you have taken, any course material we have sent, you may use it for the exam itself. If anything unclear during the exam, you may clarify them with Captain Singh Hao. So, and for tomorrow's training session, kindly do join on time or early. If everyone's early, we may start a bit earlier than usual. So, thank you very much. If you have no further questions for Captain Singh Hao, you may proceed to give the call first. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
See you tomorrow.